All right, so the good news is we got our set here. We got a really nice green screen room. We're going to be putting furniture and stuff in here. We're going to have a real nice background for it. He's not going to be in it, but I am, and that's what's going to make it so great. I'm just going to be my own sibling rival. But the downside is, I don't know if you can hear, but echo, echo, echo. A little bit of an echo. So we have mics coming in that we're going to have in here, you know, with the furniture and stuff like that, but setback. So for this week again, we are just going to do sort of the basic in front of the couch kind of thing, but just letting you know, we do have it. It is put up, and we got, I don't know if you can see furniture out there, but it is here, and we are going to have that set up, but until then,
You're a wizard.
So, anyway, until that's ready,
I am Iron Man!
And I am Iron Man's brother, Rob.
Iron Rob, and this is Sibling Rivalry.
I'm not afraid of you. No politics here. Just good old-fashioned revenge.
Tony Stark is back as Iron Man in the third installment of the most likely not trilogy. I'm sure they're going to make more of these.
The increasingly inaccurately named trilogy that's going to happen.
And this time he's going up against the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley. He's the head of a terrorist organization called the Ten Rings. And he pisses them off so much that not only do they try and take out his bodyguard, but they also try to take out his girlfriend and his home. And Tony Stark is out for all-out war. On the surface, this pretty much seems like a very straightforward comic book film, and on the surface, that's essentially all it is, which, if you're looking for a straightforward comic book film, it's great. However, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more meaty, has a little bit more development, there's two major problems with it. One is Tony Stark, this bastard, never learns from his mistakes, and is finally getting to a point where it's getting a little annoying. I mean, this is a guy who literally, out of emotional anger, goes on TV, announces his home address to the world, calling out the terrorists, and has no backup plan. And guess what happens? They come and blow his house up.
Guess who's at home, too, by the way, Pepper.
Yes, his girlfriend that he swore to protect.
They didn't show the scene where she was watching the television at the time going, what the f... But you can imagine.
This has got to be the dumbest move in superhero history. Giving out your home address, thinking to yourself that he has a plan, and he has no plan.
You could have also let Vicky Vale into the Batcave, but, you know, okay, if you want to go
Okay,
with that.
Certainly, I think this is worse, because this isn't done by his butler. This isn't done by his AI or anything. This is done by Tony Stark, and that, even though that's probably the biggest, there's a couple mistakes that he makes like this, these emotionally fueled mistakes from a supposedly brilliant man. And at first, I think they're kind of acceptable because he's going through a story arc, but after a while, you really want to punch this guy because he's putting people in danger. And then the other problem I'll also name is that there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie, which is usually good. And this does throw you for a lot of surprises, but halfway, there's a major twist in it. Of course, we won't give it away. I think a lot of people are going to be pissed off.
You obviously have not been on the internet in the past couple days.
Are people pissed off?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. The film builds up that this is going to be a massive movie. This is the, all-out war, revenge. But the way I put it, it's like building up a really, really good, awesome football game. And then halfway through, they give you a baseball game. Now, the baseball game is...
What do you got against baseball?
No. The baseball game is decent.
You un-American bastard.
The baseball game is decent, but you're kind of wishing you were going to get that football game they were really building up. So, in my opinion, even though it's promising a football game, you don't get it, but the baseball game is a decent baseball game. If that makes any sense. That's the best way I can put it. So I do recommend it just as a fun little comic book movie. And, good action, a lot of funny one-liners. But if you're looking for something deeper, if you're looking for evolution of the character or a really clever, large, epic story, you're probably not going to get it here. Your thoughts?
It was okay. Like,
Good night, folks!
I'm out. The funny thing about this movie, there's all this talk in the movie about mechanics, and Tony Stark goes through this phase where he's just like, I am a mechanic, I am this, and since they're all about the mechanics, the only way I can describe this movie is perfectly serviceable. It's like taking your car in, which is on its last leg, and getting all of these things fixed, and getting your car back and being like, yeah, you know what, it's driving all right. There's still a rattle here or there, and they could have done a better job, but when it's all said and done, I can friggin' drive, so...
It works.
Yeah,
but wouldn't it be
works.
awesome if you got that really awesome car that the mechanic was building up?
This is not a case where you're going to drive your car in and get a brand new Ferrari out of it. The funny thing is, I liked it fine coming out of the cinema. About 20 minutes afterwards, I started to think about it, and that's when it started to fall apart. So if you go in and just turn your brain off and don't think... you'll be like, hey, this is a lot of fun. I had a good time. There were some funny lines, you know.
Much like Tony Stark in the movie. He turns his brain off, doesn't think, and he seems to have fun.
Yeah, if that helps you, yes. It's not that there's a twist. The initial twist is actually really good, and once you get through it, you're just like, oh, that's awesome, that's cool. Well, now what are they going to do, though? And then afterwards, you're just like, oh, really? That was it? Like, you know, that's all I can say without really giving it away, but it's like, it's a great idea that they just don't execute well. I was like, oh, that's an awesome idea. Now let's see what the payoff is for that awesome idea.
It's not much of a payoff.
Nothing. It's like nothing, really.
It is clever. I'd even argue there's some good social commentary in there, I would say, you know, even about the media. And
the need for villains, the
yeah, I mean,
24-hour
again,
news
without
media,
going too much into it, I mean, it is clever, but it doesn't give you the payoff that it's really building up. I mean, and again, it's not just the trailers. If it was just the trailers, I'd say false advertising, but the first half, I think we can say, does build up. This is going to be a huge, epic revenge flick.
The climax is actually really good. It's probably the best shot thing in the film. But the other problem is Favreau's films were shot really beautifully. I mean, every single frame was composed well. It looked like a comic book come to life. You know, you had your characters in the foreground in just the right way. You had the action set just the right way. This is more like a bad Chris Nolan Batman sort of vibe, where Chris Nolan would have big moments, the truck flipping over in Dark Knight, but so many action scenes is like, I'm just gonna point the camera at a couple of people
and
very
just
basic. Do stuff, you know, and yeah, and even just your standard shots are just so not composed. There's just nothing visually interesting going on, whereas the first two Iron Mans, as much as I didn't like Iron Man 2, at least it was interesting to look at. There's not really much to chew on in this film when it comes to just like that comic book movie feel of like bright colors and great action sequences and stuff.
But do you also see what I'm talking about with the main character? Now, you have read the Iron Man comics, I haven't, but do you see what I'm talking about with, is there anything else to do with this guy? Because it seems like the big arc was in the first movie, and then all the other movies he's saying, no, I'm smarter than I look, and he clearly isn't, because he has all these brilliant ideas, but he makes these dumb emotional choices that aren't really
bad writing.
anymore.
It's not that there's nowhere to go with the character, it's that the screenwriter didn't know what he was doing.
I mean, they have to give him a panic attack, which, that goes nowhere. There's no
and you're
reason for
right,
him to
that
have the
goes
panic
nowhere.
attacks.
He's like, I'm gonna have panic attacks, because in the Avengers, it's happened ever since in the Avengers when the aliens were coming through, and ever since that
no,
time in
it's
New
the
York,
girlfriend, remember? He's afraid he might lose the girlfriend, so that's why he sends up a robotic double to say hi and not even greet her at the door, and then gives away his home address for her to get blown up. She gets kidnapped like 3 or 4 times, has to get herself out of it.
It's a very sloppy script with good ideas not executed well. The only really good thing is the middle portion of the movie is actually the best, which is a rarity. He meets up with this kid, and it's just one of the most brilliantly written sequences I've seen in a comic book movie in a long time, because this one scene so encapsulates what comic books do for kids. Like, if I were 10 years old, I would be like, Tony Stark's in my garage, awesome! And the relationship he has with that kid, which could have been so cheesy, and it comes really close.
They cut off at just the right point.
It is not an Anakin Skywalker scene. It is not Jake Lloyd. The child actor they found is pitch perfect with lines there most kids wouldn't be able to deliver naturally, and this kid pulls it off. And their relationship, which is very cynical still, but really very touching. That part of the movie was the best part of the movie, and that's where he realizes, he's like, I'm a mechanic, which I thought was a nice solution for the panic attacks, which were underexplored, but he's like, maybe I should just work. just work through it, you know. And that whole section of the movie was great, and the payoff at the end for that was great. I mean, it's worth the price of admission alone for me for that bit in the middle of the movie.
I didn't feel he learned a damn thing. I felt like, oh well, I don't have as many of my toys, but we've clearly proven I can keep making them. I'm just gonna keep making the toys.
I feel he did, and I feel the ending stated that, and I feel that's where they were going with it. And I'll believe it just enough because the script is telling me to, but because there's going to be an Avengers sequel and most likely an Iron Man 4, the rumor's already out, I'm just like, okay, so you say that he learned something, but the next films are just going to probably completely dump on that, so it...
Maybe it's the fact that it's like, you know, you can't have this guy learn too much because we like him as a cynic. We like him as the person who says the one-liners, so we don't want to see him learn too much. He has to be able to
it's the Han Solo effect.
A little too
Everybody
much,
likes Han Solo from Empire the Best. Who says, you know the Han I really like? The one from Return of the Jedi, where he was in carbonite for the first third of the movie, and then
Ewoks
basically
kidnap him.
gets felt up by Ewoks, and then basically kind of gets Leia and is all domesticated.
Now, what did he do in that movie? The more I think about it,
Nothing. He basically got the Rebel Alliance in a lot of trouble because he keeps stepping on things. Yeah, like, hey, it's me. You know, fly casual, Chewie. Yeah, I mean. So you're right. He can't learn too much because you don't want to destroy what is the essence of the character. To some degree, he's always going to have to be immature.
But it's
what
like Bruce,
bothers me is they're trying to say he learned something while also saying, yeah, but we're just going to keep this series going forever. So probably whatever he learned in this movie is not going to carry over into the next one.
I felt like I was watching Bruce Wayne from the Dark Knight movies. As everyone progresses, he gets more and more brilliant tech-wise, but dumber and dumber as a human being.
Well, his decisions are really stupid.
I don't see the evolution in the choices he's made. Here's a guy who always has a backup plan, yet he always puts himself in a position where anyone would have a backup plan going into it, and he never does.
But it's not the character, it's the writer.
Yes, but the writer creates the character.
I know, but I'm saying you said, is this character just done? Are we? And I'm like, no. If you read the comics, there's plenty of places you could go with it. It's just the writer didn't know what to do.
It is fun. It's a fun movie.
And I remembered it. I couldn't tell you what the hell happened in Iron Man 2. If somebody put a gun to my head right now and said, tell me what happened in Iron Man 2 or I'm going to blow your brains out, I'd be like, there was, Mickey Rourke had an electric whip and there was a race.
That's it. That was it. Nothing else.
I'd see it once. I did not think it was the worst Iron Man. I thought it was light years ahead of Iron Man 2. It was not as good as Iron Man 1. And yeah, it was dumb fun. You know, it was dumb fun in the moment. If you're looking for the greatest comic book movie ever made, no.
But for dumb fun, cool effects, great gizmos, some good one-liners, and as you said, serviceable characters. It's decent. It's a fun date movie. Fun date movie. Just go see some action, you know, and enjoy. So that's about it.
I am Iron Man!
And I'm his brother, Rob.
And we'll see you next time.